at fights for your marriage and your family. So that's why you can see even how we are wearing today. It's total war.
Yeah, soldier.
Yeah. So we have to know that let me begin from somewhere. The book of Nehemiah talks about the man called Nehemiah who was the cupbearer to the king. And it so happened that the Bible does not talk about Nehemiah hearing from God. The Bible just says that Nehemiah heard the information. He got news that his household, his family, his clan, the walls of the family has been broken down. And Nehemiah, was grieved. So he decided to go and rebuild the broken walls of his family. So I want to read the scripture in Nehemiah chapter 4, verse 14 to start with, and then we'll start from there. And I looked and rose up and said unto the nobles and to the rulers and to the rest of the people, be not ye afraid of them. Remember the Lord, which is great and terrible, and fight for your brethren, your sons and your daughters, your wives and your houses. So Nehemiah here now, he desires to go and begin to rebuild the broken walls. In the midst of the enemies, he knew that there were enemies, but he prepared himself to go and rebuild the broken walls. Now, tonight we want to go to a level where we begin to show each other where we can begin to fight for our families. What happens when we fight for our families? What happens when we don't fight for our families? And what is God saying about situations that come so that we confront them? You have to know, you and me have to know that marriage and family life is not as easy as people may perceive it. Especially to those who are just entering marriage, both of them are not aware of the implications, serious implications concerning marriage. It's a big out. Then you sit down together, you solve it amicably without quarreling with anything. You can fight the thing. If it fails in the physical, go in the spiritual. Begin to pray about it. Some of the things, we should never neglect them. They are spiritual issues. They are spiritual issues. They need prayer. After all has been done, but it's failing, go in the spiritual and begin to pray for your marriage, begin to pray for your family. Things can be sorted out.
Yeah. So for the sake of those who've come late, because we've reached a time where we want to allow questions for those who've got questions or contributions. But before we do that, quickly, I'll go back as fast as I can to just recap on what we've spoken about so that we move at the same pace. So we are looking at fights for your marriage and family. Remember, family is not only limited to your nuclear family.
Yeah.
Even extended family.
Exactly.
Fight for your extended family.
Exactly.
Fight for your small nuclear family.
Exactly.
Fight for your marriage.
Mm.
So we said, you don't just wake up and say, let's fight. No. You don't just wake up and say, we need to fight for our marriage. There should be a reason why. Why do you have to fight for your marriage? So we discovered that you need to fight. Why do you fight? Because God hates divorce. Like as we read in Malachi 2:16, God hates divorce. So that is why we should fight. The other why we should fight is that marriage is always under attack.
Exactly.
I gave an example of when people are courting or they're just going out, they've not spoken of marriage. Things are all rosy, but the day you're going to decide to inform parents that we want to get married, problems arise, fightings arise. Even people never expected, they start fighting you. Why? Marriage is always under attack.
Yeah.
That we should know.
Yeah.
Then why fight? Because life generally is a battle. For me to be born, there was a battle in my mother's womb. Only one egg fertilized that special me to be born.
Yeah.
The rest they lost. Life basically is a battle. That's why we need to fight. Then we also spoke of the when are you supposed to fight and how are you supposed to fight. So we said you fight when you quarrel the most. Let's say out of 7 days, 5 days you're just quarreling. Then there's a problem. Start fighting for your marriage. You
That
need to
thing
discover.
may lead to the divorce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then also when there's a problem with communication, when what you say is not exact what your partner hears, or your non-verbal communication sends the wrong information to your partner, then you need to fight. That is the when you should fight. So how do you fight that? Master the art of communication.
Yeah.
We also spoke of when do you fight? When your sex life is boring. How do you fight? Deliberately be creative in your bedroom.
Be creative. Yeah.
I think that's all. Have I left something on when?
No, I think so far so good. We can give them chance so that they can ask questions or contribute. Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that song was saying, won't give up. I don't know about you, but us, we won't give up. On our marriage, we won't give up. On our family, we won't give up. So I just want to encourage everyone who is here, just don't break up. Fight a good cause for the marriage. Fix the problems. Check each other out for dinners. Bring back the romance again. Enjoy your marriage. Enjoy your life. Enjoy your family. There's no better gift that God has given you and I, aside of your spouse, your family, even extended family. That's how God has blessed us. Amen. So you don't let go easily. Whatever threatens your marriage, don't let go easily. Fight to the last. You see a hand there?
So we've seen a hand from Mr. Sunkutu. Mr. Sunkutu, you can come through. You are welcome. For those who've come late, you are very much welcome. There's my brother also here. Don't mind. As we don't mind, we talk anything. There's nothing like a taboo here.
Okay.
Also welcome. And all those who came, welcome. Mr. Sunkutu, you can come. Question or contribution?
Okay, it's actually a contribution. Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
Sorry, I've joined the meeting rather late. Just to go by the ways that Mr. Makono is that I took my wife out.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yes. So yeah, the second one. Yes. So just I joined rather late. Yeah. So it's an interesting discussion, and I believe much has been discussed, but I just have one or two things to maybe to share with everyone without wasting much of your time. First of all, I'd like to agree that let me preface my contribution by first maybe citing an instance which happened in the past. There were two people that I was trying to advise that had come to me. I was about to marry. They were so much in love, and then they came for some counseling, and then I could see that there was love in the air, and I asked them a question: have you two people quarreled? Have you ever quarreled before? And then the answer they gave is that it's not easy for us to quarrel. We're in love, as you can see. There's evidence. It's not easy for us to quarrel. Then I told them, you haven't gotten to know each other yet. You have to get to the core of each one's, the individuality of someone. Go and quarrel and then come think about marriage. But they overlooked, go and quarrel, and how we are going to reconcile is what's going to help you through your marriage. So they overlooked they overlooked what I said, and they went ahead and married. 9 months in the marriage, the marriage was on the rocks until finally, I think in the 11th month, they divorced. Okay? Because marriage is about exposing realities. You can't pretend for long.
Yeah.
If someone would say, I don't guzzle beer, what and what, but in marriage it will show. In a relationship, a person will hide. But there will be that manifestation in marriage.
True.
Yeah. So the point that I'm trying to drive home is that we have a number of divorces. If you go to the daily newspaper, page 2, page 3, we find that a lot of court cases point to divorces. But why are people divorcing? I think the whole idea is maybe people immediately they marry, they forget about the blueprint with which they used to get married. They just throw it away. You know, we can live in this nice house. Most of us live in these houses, but we forget about the blueprint with which we was used to put the house together.
Yeah.
Okay, because the blueprint will show you the plan, what and what, all those things. But when people get married, they throw out that blueprint. Because if people are going to be referring to the blueprint which they used to get married, we were not going to have all these divorces we have around. Yeah. And the other thing is that there's very little time for people to go back to how they started the relationship. All those blissful moments that they used to have, they forget about that. They just look at the problems that have just happened. I'm just from saying that I came late, I took out my wife. To me, I think that is one way of rejuvenating, you know, rekindling our love for each other, which I feel is very important. You know, you cannot be driving a vehicle without servicing, putting oil, what and what. It's going to have what we call it knocking, something like that. Yeah. So even marriage has got certain ingredients that have to be applied. But the thing is that no marriage is fortified from challenges, marital challenges. All marriages have no marriage is fortified. Okay, no marriage is immunized against the. I think you guys took the COVID vaccine, but there is no vaccine for marriage. May I be corrected? Do you have a vaccine for marriage?
No.
We don't.
It isn't. So it's just how people. It's just how people are made. And I don't. This is the harsh truth. It is love that is going to bring. It is love which is going to bring two people together. I think we agreed on that one. Yeah. But it is not love which is going to keep the relationship.
Yeah.
Let me explain. It's not love which is going to keep the relationship. Yeah. What is going to keep the relationship is adjusting to each other. You know, even the gears in the engine, they have to find the slots so that they can move and they can give some propulsion to a vehicle. With those gears in the vehicle, I think you know what I'm talking about, the gears in the engine of the vehicle. That is just, we have to find, people come together, they find each other, but there's also time for people to find each other in marriage. There are people that have been married for 20 years in marriage, 30 years in marriage, but they have not yet found each other. Okay? They have not yet found each other. They have not adjusted to certain frequencies. Last time I talked about frequencies.
Yeah.
So the same thing applies. So marriage, maybe as I conclude my contribution, others maybe would want to say one or two things. So that I talk a lot, you have to forgive me.
That's fine.
No one team would win a game today and then they stop practicing because we are the champions, because they are the champions. It doesn't work one way, that way. Every good team, whether you have what and what, even if they win, they have to keep on practicing. Okay? They have to keep on practicing because they want to maintain the championship title. So it's the same with marriage. When someone has been landed in their home, the wife has